Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon or Butylis on Discord.
This is Parker. Go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy. I go by just Jeremy, and that's it on Discord, I guess.
This is Aaron. I go by Treffenwood on Discord.
And we're back after a very exciting and successful 3-person team tournament at our local shop.
I'm still
we'll
tired.
get into this more later. Yeah, still tired. Why are you tired? I had to do
how
so
could
much
you
more
be
than
tired?
you did.
How am I? Well, I watched you do things.
You watched me do all the
Exhausted
work,
me.
so it was great. Oh boy, here we go. I'm already upset.
I'm already mad. You sons of bitches.
Fucking sons of bitches. I have a couple announcements regarding Parker. First one, you're at 1,916 probationary episodes.
Shoot dang.
John had a message for you that he gave me to give to you.
Mm-hmm.
Consult him before doing anything in your entire life, I think was roughly what he said.
That's not
Out
what
of
he
sheer
said.
frustration.
John wouldn't say something like that. John has class. John knows.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, anyway, he was quite upset with you. So anyway, moving on. He tried to explain the bet to somebody else who doesn't know. I think it was EJ. Doesn't know anything about how you get probationary episodes or why they keep happening. My favorite part of the whole discussion was after he explained to him that you basically bet that you were going to lose 900 probationary episodes before you gain 75. And he's like, EJ's like, well, I mean, as long as he's good, that seems doable. And then he's like, no, you don't understand. Brandon arbitrarily assigns these. And he's like, oh, no. Like, why would you ever agree to that?
Somebody asked me
it's
the other
not
day.
arbitrary. Parker deserves this.
Yeah, one of my teammates for the team tournament said, "When are you going to bet on the games that you do, like tournaments or wins or something?" I'm like, no, that's not how this works. This is not based on my skill or anything like that. It's based upon arbitrary capriciousness and fun.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be unthought out, just right off the hip. That's how I succeed at this.
Just like Jeremy's Discord nicknames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we
I
win.
mean,
It's about how you feel. No one can tell you how to feel.
As soon as I try to put thought into this matter, the terrorists win. That's what I'm gonna say. We don't
Alrighty,
negotiate with terrorists, John.
Parker, do we have any news today?
We do have news.
News.
Hey,
Yes.
news.
What you got for us?
We have an updated affiliation list, and it's a bit of a humdinger. I'm actually really excited to see what you guys think about this. MODOK Scientist Supreme and Immortal Hulk are coming out this week, and a fair bit before they came out, actually. So I thought normally came out pretty soon after, right before, but it's like a week.
It's usually day of, basically.
Yeah, this is a little bit early. But one thing we knew was going to happen is MODOK's Scientist Supreme is in Criminal Syndicate. He's going to be a leader. We saw that coming. He's also in Hydra, not Cabal. Suspiciously missing from Cabal. He's in Hydra instead. And do you want to stop there? Or you want me to do the big bomb?
Yeah, let's talk about MODOK.
Okay.
I think MODOK and Hydra is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
He has their kind of hokiness, which is perfect. And so I'm actually pretty excited to give him some tries there.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at his cards. He doesn't give out any. He does give out some conditions, right? Doesn't he give out conditions?
Let me see here. It's been a while since I read his card.
Yeah, me too.
He puts out Incinerate on his Doomsday Chair and Stun on his Psionic Assault.
Well, there you go.
Which is fine. I think it's more about his just general weirdness and survivability.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but when you play Hydra, it's more about confounding and messing with the game in ways that your opponent doesn't predict.
Mm-hmm.
That it's control style effects, and so yeah, it's just weird.
I also think there are some Hydra models that'll just kind of stack up a lot of power, and he could use it. He could use them as a battery. There's some Hydra guys that could get a lot of power.
We also look at Hydra through the lens of Strucker a lot more than other people do, because I play exclusively Strucker, and another one of our locals plays exclusively Strucker.
I would play.
never
I would only play Strucker if I was playing it.
Right, it's just so much more of an identity than Hydra or Red Skull 2 has, and where he's just like generically evil, which is fine. And so I feel like he's going to give a much more of that component to the game, where it's just generically evil, weird effects that are not necessarily directly evolving around negative effects.
Something you smartly put out as well, I remember right when we found out, is that he's a forecaster, and previously the other, attractive forecaster was Spider-Woman, but she does not. She's more of a toolbox piece, right? And MODOK is just a turret sentry piece, which gives them two different 4-pointers to play with, rather than just having Spider-Woman to fill that 4-point
Well,
gap.
she's very much the Strucker plan, like we were talking about earlier. Like, if you just want to play Strucker, there's tons of great options.
Right.
But if you want to play, like, Red Skull, then this guy's much more up your alley.
I don't know. I think he could be good in a Venom-based Strucker team.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Could be.
Anyway, TBD.
Or,
I'm not as in love with him in Hydra as you are, or maybe in love with is too strong of a word, but.
Or you could throw, like, slap Supergiant in there, and he's sacking the Supergiant, who takes, like, 1 damage from all your fucking attacks.
That's cute.
It is. It's adorbs.
And also, then you can't move him, because she's back there mind shielding him the whole time. And she stacks up power, and he likes to have a friend with a lot of power.
Actually, she is a really nice compadre for him. I had not thought of that, but you were correct. She does have a lot of power she just does nothing with.
Strucker, MODOK, Venom, Supergiant, and another 3. Zemo?
That's not Hydra.
Why Strucker? Just so you have a leader?
That's not Hydra, though.
That is Hydra.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you Zemo. You said Zemo, yeah.
Well,
because
I was just asking why Strucker.
Because Strucker Hydra is interesting. Period. Dot. Unless you are trying to take advantage of early power generation jank with Red Skull, Strucker is by far the more interesting leader to have fun with on the table.
I agree with that. He also has the strategic genius, which is nice if you're going to play a brick.
Yep. If you're going to combine one of the leaders with Venom, I think Strucker's the better leader to do that with. Plus, even though the other characters a la MODOK and Supergiant don't necessarily synergize with the passing off of status conditions, being quote-unquote immune to conditions that their enemy puts on you by shunting them off is still very valuable in a numerous matchups.
If you do take like Red Skull or Bob, though, being able to sack to Red Skull's Grunt and or Bob with MODOK's ability is also very fun.
Yep. Oh, Red Skull is definitely in the 10, so it's not wrong. But I would, in order for a model to be in the list, I would want it to have a home in a Strucker list. And obviously you swap in and out as the crisis and opponent dictate. But I wouldn't want to put a model in there that wouldn't ever see play in a Strucker list without some hard thoughts about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that those 4 models plus, like I said, Zemo at 3 or pick someone else, would be a viable 17, especially on a center line scenario where you can just run Supergiant and MODOK and Venom right up the middle and be like, who you want to attack now? I don't know.
Yeah.
That was just the off-the-cuff thought.
Yeah, when it comes to him being affiliated with Hydra, I think it's just more about him synergizing with the characters than the leadership specifically.
Yep.
All right. Jeremy, do you have any thoughts on those?
No, I
know
like to
you're
play
not
the
much
model
of a Hydra.
before I talk about it, really. I don't have anything. I'm ready to play with it, though.
Okay. What's next, Parker?
So, the Immortal Hulk also got placed into affiliations. The first one was, not too far away from what we thought, Defenders. The regular Hulk is already in Defenders. So there's that. However, they put the Immortal Hulk in the Midnight Suns. Am I the only one who thinks that is fucking amazing for Midnight Suns? Just like a straight buff for Midnight Suns. Am I crazy? Tell me I'm crazy.
I don't think it actually matters that
Oh God, you tell me I'm crazy. Okay.
So hold on. Let's talk about it realistically, though. How does that benefit them? Because if the argument is they were already trying to play Hulk,
Right. Yeah,
so
that's
you're in for 10 points in 2 models. One of them is affiliated. So you're saying that
11.
the
That's 11.
downside.
He's 7 points.
No, I'm talking about original Hulk.
Got it.
So your downside is that you have to play Doc Voodoo or Iron Fist or Wong, or Moon Knight. I just don't understand what you are allowed to do now that you weren't allowed to do before. What is the combination of models? Because with Blade and Hulk, Immortal Hulk specifically, you're in for 11 points. So what you're allowed to play Venom now? What's the fix? What is it allowing you to do that you couldn't do before?
It's not models. It's tactics cards.
Just because he can play Siege Darkness?
Yeah, and bats.
What does it matter that he gets bats?
Guaranteed throw when you want it.
I thought he already had the guaranteed throw when you want it.
On a wild. Bats turns anything into a wild.
Strike.
Or anything else that you want.
So he has effectively a guaranteed throw on the spender, but not on the builder. Gotcha.
So I think
Sure, that's good.
I Hulk's possible turn is through the roof in Midnight Suns. Because he can bump, he can Gamma Leap, he can play his card for another range 2 place, then attack 3 times with a guaranteed at least 1 throw. I mean, that's baller. It's a lot of tactics cards, so I'm not saying it's optimum use of your resources. But when your ceiling is that high, I don't think how your stocks can't be up, at least in theory. It might not end up being a thing, but Midnight Suns aren't worse on Friday because of it.
I think and I have not played Midnight Suns yet, and so I do not know when they really, really want, an out of faction character, and they want more than one or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how that plays out for them. I think you're right. The fact that they have Wong already in there means they probably could make affiliation if they wanted to play a Hulk anyway. But I hope that the fact that Immortal Hulk is in here gives them some sort of affiliation flexibility, because they absolutely would like to play Immortal Hulk. I think it's something they want to do. And you're not wrong, Aaron. The access to bats and I don't know the name of the card. Siege is not nothing. It is something. Because both of his attacks are super strong.
I mean, they're okay strong. I mean, they're 7 dice, right?
7
They
dice
don't
with a
get
wild.
any
7 dice
better
with a
than
wild
that.
throw. It's 7 dice with a wild throw on both of them.
Well, the other one is throw on
sorry.
damage.
Throw on damage. Sorry. Yes.
So he can do that 3 times, which I don't know. I'm having a hard time see why it matters that much.
So being able to guarantee the throw is nice. Obviously, it's good.
Yeah, I see it's
Trying to
good.
think.
I think they needed
It's
something.
going to be,
but I don't know.
it's going to be crushing in some matchups, because if you just keep hitting the wild a lot and then you can guarantee it the one time you don't, then yeah, if you have a size 4 person you can keep throwing into their people, then yeah, it's gonna really punish them. But if you're attacking a bunch of size 2 people, it's gonna be a lot less important. I really want to see the output of Immortal Hulk on the table before we start talking about how much better he is than regular Hulk, because I think people are underestimating the fact that his throw costs 3 and he doesn't add extra dice to his attacks.
Mhm.
I think he's actually going to cap out on damage much faster than people think he will, because how much he needs to hold on to power to not actually die. I don't know. I just want to see it in play. It might be better than I'm thinking, but it's hard to judge for me.
I don't think he's better than OG Hulk. I just think he's interesting in Midnight Suns.
So I'll give you that him being affiliated is good for both of their really good tactics cards. But on the flip side, he's also super power hungry compared to regular Hulk. And so you're power hungry, you have a leadership that costs power, and you have 2 tactics cards that cost power. Is there going to be a problem there? I don't know.
Will he end up saving power because bump will mean he won't need to Gamma Leap?
Right.
Maybe.
I don't know. The thoughts, right? Obviously to be seen. I'm intrigued. I'm not blown away with him in Midnight Suns, but I'm intrigued.
I kind
Is it a plus for the affiliation? Yes. Is
Yes.
it a big?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like you're spending 7 points for a model that can land in the category of do you get Fat Thor or do you get Awesome Thor? I mean, I hate when the wilds and the important shit's attached to important things to happen. Because, I mean, regular Hulk being able to always throw is so phenomenal. and I don't know. I don't see how all of that is makes Midnight Suns a whole different thing. For 7 points, it has to.
I'm actually more intrigued to put iHulk in Guardians.
Why?
Just stop. I'm done with Guardians.
Why-
So fucking done with Guardians, dude.
Jeremy, why did you say always throw with regular Hulk?
He spends 2 in Huckshoe.
Oh, well, Immortal has that too, but I guess it costs 1 more. That's not what you're saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, like his is
He
just
can't
more
bump
expensive.
and throw.
Right, you can't bump and throw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just has some stuff that's like a little bit not as easy mode. Like regular Hulk has easy mode. You have things you can just do. Immortal is like, if you're not falling in the trap of try and beat him to death and watch him regrow himself and he blows up the world, I'm not sure what he does for Midnight Suns particularly. I'm not saying it's not an amazing model. It probably is. But I don't...
And
Midnight Suns is just kind of... I'm not sure.
while he's harder to actually get off the table, he's definitely not harder to daze. He doesn't have the access to the rerolls on defense. He's
Mhm.
got about the same defensive stats. He's stronger against Mystic, I guess. But the no perfect rerolls on defense, I think, actually adds up a lot. Losing 5 hit points are like the most dangerous 5 hit points. And leaving old Hulk on 1 was like crippling. Leaving this Hulk on 1 is almost not that bad, because if he spends a bunch of his power, he actually has risk of dying. And so he almost can't do anything if you leave him on low hit points.
Right.
Like, you get him down to 2 and he's got 10 power. He's like, all right, do you bump and leap and throw and do your spender after a builder? And you're like, and be on 1 power and just die? Like, probably not. And so, like, he's not going all out to punish you. It's just weird. I just really need to see it on the table first.
I'm more interested to hear why or how Jeremy's been touched by Guardians recently.
Mm-hmm.
Are you just done with Guardians? Is that the idea?
No, it's... We can talk about it during our games, when we talk about games.
Okay.
We don't need to
Okay.
dive in yet.
All right. Did we have any other news?
That was it.
Okay. Are you guys excited to get your Hulk and MODOK tomorrow?
I tried to build a list with for MODOK and criminals today, and I was having a really hard time deciding where to go with it. Actually, kind of what we talked about when we read him. We're like, he can play next to Shadowlands, he can play next to Kingpin, but like Shadowlands and Kingpin, they're kind of mutually exclusive. The things I like to do with Shadowlands does not take Kingpin, and the things I like to do with Kingpin does not take Shadowlands. So I'm staring at it going, do I put a second leader in there, or am I just going to try to play MODOK's shtick and see how that works? I think I'm going to start with MODOK shtick, and basically just literally just take my Shadowlands Daredevil and more or less take out Shadowlands and put in MODOK and see if it actually does better. We're going to see.
Yeah, maybe. I would like to see a primary MODOK build with an alternate to go Kingpin wide, potentially, and see if you could somehow marry those two. And just have, like, exactly 1 drop for Kingpin that's on, like, if we get Scoundrels, I play this. And if not, I'm playing MODOK.
Yeah, I've looked at that. Right now it was Kingpin. I still haven't figured out if I can do that. If it works, we'll see.
Yeah.
One of the things that is kind of funny as I was staring at my rapid fire style for the old rapid fire style was just like put in lots of attacks so I get to reroll Shadowlands Daredevil. But if you do MODOK and you put in all of the rapid fires, the conditional rapid fires, the ones that need a hit, that now they need a wild or a hit functionally, right? Because if you roll a wild, then you can turn 1 of your dice to a hit and then trigger the rapid fire. So there's MODOK actually makes rapid fire happen a little bit more consistently, just a little bit. Because the number of times I can think of I rolled no hits at all, whether it be a wild or a crit or a hit, is really low. So having a wild in there and to function as a hit or to gain me a hit and then trigger the rapid fire is not nothing. So I'm looking at that too. Like, is it worth taking the non-automatic rapid fires so that I can have some of their toolboxy stuff because I'm playing MODOK? Things I'm thinking of.
Have you considered putting OG Sabretooth in with MODOK as your leader?
Just for the insane damage output if you start rolling wilds?
Well, 3 things. First off, it makes your wild attack super spiky.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, you can sack hits to Sabretooth, which
Yeah.
will trigger aggressive followed by the attack.
Right.
Thirdly, his lethal predator attack, his savage predator attack, the big one, on a wild and a hit, he gets to trigger his extra attack that does all rerolls.
Yes.
So like I think he might be some secret sauce in there too. And the other question I had is if you considered Rhino as like his protector buddy, because you can sack to Rhino. Rhino gets DR and gets extra power for being damaged. Rhino also has aggressive, so he can set himself up to immediately activate.
Right. Rhino is in the list, yes.
Right.
Most
Rhino has to be in
Right.
criminals at this point. He's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So Rhino was already in the list. Sabretooth wasn't, although I like it. I was actually looking for other wild hit combos. I know Corvus Glaive has it for Flurry, and Red Skull has it for his moving it, a move or push, and you gotta get to choose with MODOK. I thought that's cute. I don't know if that's good enough to play with, but there are a bunch of guys in the game that if you get a wild and then you could get your hit also from the MODOK leadership, it makes that effect, which is a little bit more conditional, less conditional, easier to get. So that's interesting. But I did not see the Sabretooth Spender.
Emma
Although
Frost and Gwenpool are two others.
Mhm.
For your
They have
list.
wild hit triggers.
Yeah.
It's funny how often you miss the hit trigger. It's
Yeah.
really funny.
I've had so many times when Sabretooth was ready to just eat someone with that, and then he missed one of those dice, and I was so mad. Something about you should never count on it. Don't bother counting on it. And I tell myself, and then I don't roll it, and I'm just furious. I want to go home. So mad.
I want to go home.
I just want to go home.
I'm trying to think if it's worth playing Gambit.
I looked at him for a little while. I think he's one of those models I probably need to put on the board to see why they made him. Because
Isn't he a criminal though?
nope.
No.
I thought he was.
You can make
'cause he
you can make
used to be
criminal
a thief.
stealth. Nah, it does there. I have a card for that.
Well, it's not that, but he can little something extra change a hit to a wild, and then you get an
Right.
extra hit for it, which is
Right.
cute. He can also add dice to his attack rolls. He has parting shot.
He has
He has a beam attack.
the big beam. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like his 52 card pickup could be a 7-die beam attack that wilds count as 2 and add an extra hit on top of it. So one wild is 3 hits.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's some juice there.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think he's bad. I don't know if that's what I
Ooh.
want to go for the list, but I did stare at his card.
You can also turn 2 Dark Past followed by turn 3 Shadow Organization, and they just can't never shoot you.
That'd be funny. That would be funny.
Really cute.
I actually, I think Gambit is one of those characters like Crystal. Like when you look at his card and you go, I don't know how this could be good compared to other cards that I know that cost 3, and then you put down the table, you're like, oh, there's all kind of stuff that you don't even think it's doing until you actually play it and you realize what it's doing. So I probably need to try it.
All right, good.
I would say if you play Gambit, I've seen him played really successfully against me once. The trick was not 52 card pickup, which was how I interpreted the character, but rather accelerate charge.
Just keep pushing people.
No, accelerate charge is add 2 dice to your attack rolls, cost 3. It is not once per turn. He has a range 3 5 dice builder with a wild explosive. So as soon as he's one of those characters, it's kind of like Apex. Is that as soon as he gets his power train going, it self generates, right? Because if he can spend 3 to make a 7 dice builder, then he spends 1 to turn something into a wild if he didn't get it, and then he does it again. That's 2 7 dice, both with explosive. I'm just like, holy shit, will you stop killing my entire fucking team? And he was like, nope.
And with
okay.
And with MODOK, you get to add extra damage on top of that if you didn't already roll it.
Right.
And the thing I like too is if you just look at the odds of triggering rapid fire, he has the exact same odds of pushing a size 3 target. And so he can just hold a flank by himself almost indefinitely because you just like taps him and moves him away. And then they move up and attack you, you parting shot, move up, push him away again. And so you're killing them and also like getting them off the points.
So I think if you're planning a MODOK list, it would be a great opportunity to put Gambit on the table for 5 games and just see how he performs.
Laissez bon temps rouler.
Maybe.
Oh my god.
Parker, you're not allowed to quote anything Gambit says because you think he's a stupid character.
I actually don't know if he ever said that. I think that'd be too on the nose for that character. He's a very nuanced character. Pretty sure they never said that.
Very
He wears a
nuanced.
trench coat and has abs built into his uniform.
He has ab armor.
He has
fucking
ab armor.
breastplate.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think you guys are misreading him. I think he's really just a straight up character.
He's clever and well written.
Round, very round, and full of depth, like a deep ocean Gambit.
An ocean of depth.
Alrighty, let's move on before we run out of time.
Mhm.
So topic today, we're gonna recap our team tournament we had. I am super happy. I think it went very well. We got 16 teams, 48 players for our local event. A shout out to everybody who made the trek down. We had 2 teams come in from Omaha. We had 1 team from Warrensburg. We had 2 teams from Des Moines. We had a team from Lawrence. We had a team from Joplin. We had people from all over the place, and a lot of locals that we didn't know were local because we, ships in the night just never met each other because they go to different stores, and so they found out about our shop, and now they're excited to come play games with us, and I couldn't be happier. So shout out to everybody who came out and had a good time.
Yeah, don't forget the guys from Springfield.
Springfield, I did. Springfield Team 1 couldn't make it, but Springfield Team 2 made it, and I think they had a good time. We got to hang out with them. My team actually got to play them.
Mine too.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, with 16 teams, you're like, oh, well, what are the odds you play a team? Well, we played 3 of the other 15, so you played 20% of the field. It's still pretty fun. All right, so we're going to go around the table round by round. We'll each do 1 round at a time. We're going to give a couple quick anecdotes about how our games went. We're not going to do full battle reports because those are boring. So first round, my team was Alex, Other Brandon, and myself. I was playing my Hydra concoction. That's basically just Hydra pretending to be Hydra, and it's really Cabal with Malekith, and I just have 4 models I actually play, and the rest of the list is just window dressing. I had to judge and operate cameras and play in this tournament, so I wanted to play something that I could easily walk away from a table if I had to. I got paired against a person that was playing Brotherhood in the first round. He went in for the turn 1 Asteroid M Magneto play with Jugs. Magneto dealt 0 damage in the turn he played Asteroid M, so that was very unfortunate for him, and it started real bad for him, unfortunately. However, on the next turn, once Magneto woke up, he decided to go complete God mode, and I think he didn't fail on a single die that round. I barely got him dead with full Malekith, full Red Skull, and I think I even had to kick in some extra damage from MODOK. And that guy would not go away. I finally got him dead. I was so sad. And then it was, it's just unfortunate. Like, he lost an entire turn with Magneto, so it's really hard to dig out of that hole. He did a pretty good job, though. So that was my round 1. Parker, how was your round 1?
So I was playing with a local guy, Preston. Shout out to him. He's an awesome player, comes to the Geekery a lot. Newer player, but he's growing really fast. And Spencer, a guy from Springfield, who I just met for the very first time, but he's really active on our Discord and also a member of the community, extending out.
This
there
is the
into
same
Missouri.
Spencer that Aaron had been terrorizing.
Right. He has what is, I guess, final round syndrome, right? He cranks it all the way to the end, and then he holds his hands out, and it just slips right out of his fingers.
He never gets full release.
Yeah, always just there. So he was playing Hellfire Club that he's been tuning like crazy. It was really fun to watch that. Preston was playing a Asgard Cabal switch that he and I workshopped. It was a lot of fun to put together. I'm really excited to try it once I get my Malekith back from the painter. And I was playing my A-Force list minus Wasp. And the Avengers switch, and now it's just A-Force members, and Spider-Woman is in there, and it's got the Spider-Woman cards. And my first round, I went up against Dave, another local awesome player. He was playing Midnight Suns. He did not know that you should not play the Hulk against A-Force. And so he played the Hulk against A-Force, and my Hulk just rolled up Hulk into a ball and punted him. He was very sad. He's like, I guess I'll put Hulk in the middle and pick up this point. I was like, okay, here comes She-Hulk, special delivery. And he lost Hulk in a round and a half, I think. to She-Hulk and one other activation. So it wasn't super fun for him, but he didn't make many mistakes, and he's a newer player, so he's excited to play some more. He and I have been playing games since we were in college, so friend a long way back, and we haven't actually got to play MCP yet, I think. So it was fun to finally get to play him, and we did have fun playing, even though he found out the limitations of Hulk versus She-Hulk. He discovered that.
Yep. All right, Aaron, you're up.
Okay, real quick, I ended up taking Shield to the event and not knowing which team I was on until the morning of. I was kind of the black sheep of the tournament list, going to whichever team was going to end up needing someone based off of someone dropping out the day prior or whatnot. So I had a Webs list submitted, and then I switched teams the morning of and ended up bringing Shield just because it deconflicted for the most part with what they had. First game played into Ryan Fairchild from Springfield. He's playing Red Skull Hydra. We ended up getting Hammers and Demons, and I made a round 1 play that I wanted him to punish me for, so I could prove you wrong, Brandon, and he didn't. So
What? I'm very confused.
So I had Prio on Hammers, and he was playing Red Skull Malekith, your typical, well, I guess maybe not typical Hydra, but it's Hydra with Red Skull and Malekith. And I decided to go and pick up both Hammers, one with the Grunts and one with Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, I told him, I think this is a bad idea. I want you to prove to me it's a bad idea. So I was kind of pulling for him to win.
Yeah.
So he sets it up. He then goes and he takes Malekith. He picks up his back hammer and double moves next to Fury. And I'm like, great. So next turn, you kill Fury. I won't have an opportunity, and then you KO him top of 3. So I will have 0 activations with Fury after round 1 and lose my leader.
To be fair, I said that was one of the ways that you can counteract that strategy, but
Sure.
yes.
Instead, I guess I'm still not sure 100% why. We talked about it a little bit after the game, but he went with Zemo into Fury on round 2 to start the round, which enabled me to take some chip damage and then fall back using Eye in the Sky off from his second attack, and then activate Fury and double move medium away from Malekith to leave Malekith sitting over there on the flank with no one around him. And the game just got better for me from there without going into the details. I Helios Malekith and life was good for Shield, so took round 1 down. But it was an interesting turn 1 decision on what to pick up the Hammers with whom.
There's actually a wise phrase for this exact situation. If you French fry when you're supposed to pizza, you're going to have a bad time.
Yes. So would have been a completely different game if he had actually gone with Malekith first and killed Fury.
Did he give a reason for why? Did he just think Zemo could get it done?
I don't think he was sure that Malekith was going to be able to get it done, and then I would Eye in the Sky off of the second one, because I didn't have enough power to Eye in the Sky off of his first attack, whoever he did that with.
Right. Surely you paid the extra power for Eye in the Sky when you, because you had a hammer, right?
Surely.
Mm-hmm. He sounded confident. No way that was a mistake.
I don't make mistakes. I just cheat.
I don't make mistakes.
I just cheat.
I gain advantages. All right, cool. So, Jeremy, how was your first round?
The first round was cool. So first off, my team was made of Josh and Ryan, a couple local guys that they're basically the guys that always come up when I randomly can play at the store. They work weird hours sometimes, and we were friends. So I was like, let's do this. It really had nothing to do with like, this will be a great match for my list, etc. It was just like, we play together anyway, let's do this, man. And I know they don't show up at tournaments all the time, so it was a good, like, let's go, let's do this, let's go to this thing. So first round, my team ran into face first Team Muse, and this was the Josh, Aaron England, and Crump, who are notorious for playing War Machine back in the days. And I've played all of them, if not 5 times, 7 times. And they've been playing tabletop games forever, and all very good. So I know this was going to be a tough one for us to get a 2-1 victory and move to the winner's bracket. So I played Josh. Josh was playing Midnight Suns. It was a list, or a style of list I've seen quite a few times lately. It is the, I'm going to activate Malekith or your other big model more than once during this game. Using Bats and Original Strange, and also adding in
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist. So the game was basically me dodging that, trying to kill as much as I could. At the end of the day, I just eked out a win. I killed more than he was able to kill. I controlled his activating my model slightly better than he activated me, and I took that game down. The other two folks, Aaron and Crump, knocked out my two buddies, so we went to the losers bracket.
Nice.
Yep.
Well fought. That's a tough matchup for you.
Yeah, it actually was.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
I am nothing but impressed by that a lot. That is really cool.
Next up, round 2. I'm drawing a complete blank on who I played in round 2, but don't worry.
You just get your.
I'm actively looking it up at the moment.
I was gonna say just get your team details.
So
and it'll
in
show
round 2, I played Patrick from Omaha Team 2. He played X-Men. This is actually the same person I played against X-Men at the Omaha tournament in round 1. We played, this time he did not in fact decide to play his Reds while playing X-Men against my Brotherhood. So this one was much tougher. I took a same list. I think we pulled 18 points. So I did Malekith, Red Skull, Bob, and dang it, I cannot remember my 4-pointer. Anyway, so we're playing throughout the game, and I'm not having the best of luck on the pay-to-flips because we're playing Madman. It's in fact going quite poorly. At one point, I was 2 for 9 on attempting to flip the goddamn fucking points.
Pay-to-flips are
and
wonderful.
So, if I recall, I might miss the numbers, but I was down 2 to 6, and then I was down 5 to 9, I want to say, and then I was down 6 to 13 on Madman. Then the following round, we tied. Oh no, it must have been 8 to 13. Because the next round I tied like 15 to 15, and then I went up 23 to 15 on the final round. It was so freaking close. The final round, MODOK on 1 hit point is trying to decide if he wants to move up and try and kill Emma Frost, or walk backwards and just pray I hit a hit on 1 of 2 dice. Because if I fail to flip a point, I lose the game automatically. And so I ended up moving back. I finally got my 3 for 10, and then I flipped the right point, which saved the game. And then I took all the points on the next turn.
Who did you say you played?
His name's Patrick.
Patrick. Okay.
Runge.
Gotcha.
Anyway, that was our game. It was pretty crazy. The final round, MODOK picks up his second hammer, takes 2 damage, goes to 1 remaining hit point on his healthy side, and Malekith picks up 2 hammers and goes to 3 hammers, and not hammers, cubes, sorry. I think I said hammers. It was cubes. Picks up the total of 3 cubes and goes to 1 hit point as well. So my entire list has 2 healthy hit points in it, and they're holding a collective 5 cubes, and I had priority. If I didn't have priority, I just lost the game. It would have been horrible. All right, Parker, how was your round 2?
So in round 2, we played the Wizguardian Club, and Nigel was in it. I'm not sure which team were they from. Which one is that?
That was Des Moines 2.
That's right, Des Moines 2. And so I played against Gar, who was a great opponent. He was playing as Guardians, and on turn 2, he let slip that he has not played A-Force before. And
You
so,
son of a bitch.
What was
You son of a bitch,
after
Parker.
you drop off and killed like his whole team.
he knew what my stuff does. He did say he's like I know what it does, and so he wasn't ever like shocked or surprised.
I do
But
not
he
know the
just-
sound it makes.
But also we were actually playing on demons too, which is just an enormous advantage for me. He just didn't know precisely what to do with his game plan. That's why he said on turn 2, he's like, I wasn't sure how to start. But he wasn't surprised. I didn't like say I'm going to do this, and he would go, oh, I didn't know they did that. It was just he hadn't seen what I did before, and so yeah, She-Hulk got in the middle of the board, and for the second game in a row, Spider-Woman interrogated twice, and yeah, it was really just A-Force pretty good A-Force clinic. Just going to take a couple points, going all to the middle, sitting on it, and slowly making sure we won. And I won that one, 16-8. It wasn't he didn't make any giant mistakes, but he also didn't set up for the things I was going to do. He wasn't sure how far I could do anything, so he was just kind of going,
Right.
okay, I think this is okay, and then I would, go all A-Force on him. So
I would pay so much money just to watch somebody play against Parker's A-Force and know what they're doing.
yeah,
I just want to see that happen one fucking time.
Yeah.
The number of times we've been at events and somebody comes over and goes, "Oh, I just played Parker." I was like, "Oh yeah, how'd that go?" And he's like, "Oh, I didn't know what special delivery did." I'm like, how? Every round of every event is like, I didn't know what special delivery. Like, come on, somebody's got to know.
yeah, I know. I think I'm the one.
Jesus Christ. But like, I've seen what happens to an A-Force player when you're like, I know what that card does, and they're like, oh, I can't just like remove your most important model for free, and they're like, I'm like, no, and they're like, shit.
Well, in the times that I've had, the times that I didn't use it to remove their model, and I don't know if I actually removed his model in turn one. I don't think I did that, but I'm using it also like defensively to throw She-Hulk so that she can, bodyguard the Black Widow that they've pulled with Thanos. Like, I've played against good players that knew what special delivery did, and I was still doing something. You could still do things with it that it's not just throw somebody forward and punch them because they had decided to sit on the middle point. There are things to do with it, but I think this one I think he did move up somebody, and she ended up bopping him on the head. I don't know if she killed him turn one. It wasn't. It was one of the ones on the top tables, so it got filmed. I don't think it was a raffle stop from turn one. I think it was just I did my game point of 4 points on turn one, 4 points on turn two, and then 5 points on turn three. Like, it was just consistent attrition.
Okay. Aaron, what was your round two like?
My round two was super interesting. I ended up playing into the team that brought it all down from Omaha, Outlanders. I ended up going into John Paul George. He and I had played a really close game when we went up there last month. And we ended up playing a really close game again. He went Avengers Hulk, and I countered with Standard Shield. Without going into the specifics, there was a bunch of back and forth. I'm pretty sure it was 1 second. Scrolls Intrusions. So lots of fighting in the middle. I think turn 2 or 3, I ended up killing a bunch of his guys and like picking up all the scrolls. And the following turn, he killed me back and retook them. So relatively swinging on points. The game ended in a 13-13 tie, and he clocked out. It was going to be close after that. Had we gone to a legitimate end. I think I had it. He disagreed a little bit, but life being what it was, he ended up just, we obviously didn't play it out past then. So really, really swingy. He had 2 models left at the end of the game, and I think I had 3.5. So that's it.
Yeah, remember he had Crimson Dynamo had just died, right?
Yeah, Dynamo and Beta Ray were who he had left, both on their injured sides. I'd killed Hulk.
Oh, okay. He must have just gotten dazed then. All right, Jeremy, you're round two.
Round two. The leader of round two team, the Rock'em Sock'ems, was our very own Perrin. So when we matched up, I kind of looked at their lists or whatever, and we were talking as a team. Who do we lay down? How do we do this? And I'm like, I think I'm going to draw out Perrin because I don't think anyone will try and mess with my list except him, because everyone else, it wasn't going to work out. So I put it down, and I'm like, I'll put mine down, and I'll draw him out. Well, son of a bitch, if he didn't put his down too.
He threw some fodder straight down at you. He's like, you just eat this guy.
Yeah, so anyway, I ended up playing Bobby, of our local celebrities, who brought Guardians. So the thing about this game that is important is we ended up playing, I think we played 15 points.
You did.
And I dove into him, and I think he damn near dazed Malekith on turn 1 with maybe a shot, maybe a gun. It was one of those where a bunch of hits and stuff, and then with rerolls, it was an incredible amount of damage. And I'm kind of like doing one of those, okay, this doesn't seem right. That didn't stop until the end of the game. I was
Mhm.
clinging by the edge of death on every time he shot, it seemed like I was getting ready to die. And I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong. It's just the amount of damage that was being put at me was insane. Um, I'm trying to think of anything particular. I mean, I even got Rocket and Groot separated. Like, I had them separated. I was trying to kill them one another. I couldn't kill them. They were shooting me in the face. Everything was getting hit hard. It was a nasty game that he very well could have won that. For some reason, I just did slightly more to get points than he did, and I ended up taking that down. That reroll mechanic for Guardians and just splashing it into anything is just kind of bananas, really. It's crazy.
Yeah, final score 17-16, Jeremy.
Yeah, I snuck that one out.
Mm-hmm. He was pretty excited. He was telling me about your game. He was pretty proud that he almost got you.
He did.
Bobby's really busy. He has not gotten to play a lot lately. He's probably played 3 or 4 games the last 6 months.
Yeah, he doesn't play a lot, and that's what surprised me about it as well. I thought, okay, this won't be that difficult of a game. And my God in heaven, when my model started melting, I was like, shit, I'm just going to die.
All right, so for round 3, I played against one of our new locals named Ryan. We basically got together. The card game I played, My Hero Academia Universes card game. I got 3 of our locals to play that. That's who Parker played round 1. He played Dave from their team, and I played Ryan. Our game ended 8-9. I had 8, and we ended on round 3. It was an interesting game. It started going sideways for him. He's only played 3 games, and so he's still quite new. But he's picking up pretty quick. We played Hydra versus Cabal. He played Hydra. He moved his Strucker just slightly too far forward, and MODOK walks up, shoots him, bows him forward, throws Train into him. He gets dazed basically in my deployment zone on turn 1 due to all the throwing and pulling and stuff. He took it like a champ, though. The reason that our score is weird is I killed everyone but Bob for his team, and so he lost the game in the middle of the turn of round 3, so he only scored twice. It was really weird.
Bob was the only one left on his backside, so he auto lost instantly, which is adorable.
Yeah, Bob was injured and he lost. It was really weird. It's the only time I've ever seen that rule come up. Our Bobs basically had a dueling match because we both had Bob and just fighting on the flank. It was fun. Anyway, that was my round 3. Parker, what's up?
So, in round 2, Preston did not win, but Spencer pulled it out, and so we went on to round 3 undefeated as a team, and we got to play up against the Muse team, which was really fun. It was actually really fun to decide who was going to play where, because the Muse team had a really strong X-Men player, but we had Spencer, who is not, he didn't bring the anti-X-Men, but he himself is a walking anti-X-Men because his brother has been playing X-Men like, I guess, every day for 2.5 years, at least once against him. And so there's Spencer's like, I have a lot of experience in the X-Men, and everyone who was in the earshot of that statement would go, he knows everything an X-Man can do. There is nothing an X-Man can do. Spencer was being very very gracious with it, very humble, but we're like, okay, let's go ahead and send him against an X-Men, and he won that game. And I went up against Crump, and I haven't got to play Crump since we were trying to decide what we were playing the last time we played, and he was like, I guess I was playing probably Crix, and I was like, I guess I was probably playing Khador. Like, it was probably a Decepticon or something. Like, not Decepticon, but Warfare, what they used to call it, yeah.
War Machine Weekend.
Yeah, War Machine Weekend. And so we played a game, and it was Meteors for me and Spider Infected, and it was actually a knockdown, drag out. Like, everybody was on their backside by the end of the game. If you look at the score, I won 16-7, but the game was actually total drag out. He was playing Asgard, but it was a very different Asgard than I played the round before that, and he did a great job of trying to control me and he got plenty of damage out there. He did a great job of moving away with extracts and scoring. It was really, really neck and neck until turn 4. I had a really great turn 4 and scored a bunch, and he had a good turn 5, but I was able to remove some of his models on that turn 4, and so he wasn't able to come back. And it was on turn 6. It was a really close game. I just didn't. The score did not look close at the end, not nearly as close as it actually was. One of my, I think, key to my victory, we were playing on Meteors. I did not put all of my A-Force members in a perfect line for his
Dynamo.
for his Dynamo to just shock everyone, and I just focused on him. I was just like, he's going down. I'm not waiting to kill this guy till later. And so he was one of the models that I got removed pretty early, and so Asgard. He needed his Asgard rolls to just show up to do more damage than they normally do, and they didn't. And so I squeaked. I flipped over to my injured side just a turn after he did, and I was able to continue doing things while he was running out of gas.
Speak of the devil, I remembered what my 4-pointer was in round 2. It was Dynamo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I refuse to play that model. I will only kill him. That's my new rule.
That guy is some serious bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, he is some serious bullshit.
All right, so Aaron, how was your round 3?
It was incredible. I only played Dynamo once all day, I think. But round 3 was into the Muse team. I played against Nigel, who was running Emma Frost. We drew Alien Ship and Portals Overrun City with Spider People. His prio, real quick, I'll talk a little bit more about this game than some of the others, because there's one specific interaction I want to get into. We played Emma, Ulik, 2-point Natasha, Lizard, and Blob. He put his Ulik on my right flank, and Emma center, Lizard, Blob left, Natasha center. So I countered with everybody left. I was like, I'm just going to fucking kill Blob and Lizard with my energy attacks. I put Agent Widow, 3-point, on the right-hand side next to Ulik, across from Ulik, intending to just run away. Like, I will give him the right side. I'm not going to fuck with Ulik killing all my squishy shield models, right? And as soon as he leaves that side, then I'll come back and I'll flip the point after he leaves, or something to that effect. Throughout turn 1, he did not take the alien core, or the alien ship core, across from Ulik right away. So at some point I had a decision to make, and I just said, I guess I'll double move Agent Widow. She'll pick up the core and make it harder for him to flip that spider portal. And maybe next turn I'll get to go before he does and just run away. So I did that. His turn 1 later, he double moves Ulik to the spider portal and attempts to overflip Widow. Fails, gets the skull, and is ported 2 away. Later that turn, he uses Emma's leadership, which, since he was ported away and is no longer contesting or holding an objective, Ulik loses a power and takes a damage. So at the end of round 1, Ulik is sitting on 0 power and 1 damage. I'm like, okay, it's not bad. Round 2, he goes with Ulik. He moves on to the point, because he only has 2 power. He doesn't have 3. He can't use his superpower. So he moves, swings into my 3-point Widow, does no damage but pushes her off. Rolls and gets a skull. So is ported off the point again. Later that turn, my Widow moves onto the point, flips it, and he uses Emma's leadership to once again take a power from Ulik and do a damage to Ulik. At the end of round 2, my Widow is sitting on the right spider portal, holding an alien ship core, and his Ulik has 0 power and 2 damage on him.
You're doing really well.
Round 3, he moves his Ulik onto the spider portal. He swings into Natasha and does 0 damage and pushes her off. Rolls for the spider portal, gets a skull, and is ported. I move Natasha back onto the spider portal.
Jesus Christ.
Flip it.
I'm just pointing out that also were you intentionally not using parting shot just so that he couldn't get power?
Yes.
Okay.
Flip it, and he does Emma's leadership later in the turn. And at the end of round 3, he is sitting on 0 power and 3 damage on him. And I have not attacked him once.
Good.
The whole left side went fine. There was back and forth, and there were moves and whatnot. But that was the one interaction, which, if you have any takeaway, should be never fucking take spider portals. It is the worst secure in the game.
It is the worst mission in the game, and it is so bad. It is horrible. You should never, ever, 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 ever play Spider Portals.
I will say there is one caveat. I think you could legitimately take it if you are guaranteed to play wider than your opponent. If you are not wider than your opponent, and you're not guaranteed to play that way, you should burn that fucking card.
Even if you have more models, it's still not guaranteed that you're going to do well on the mission. Like, you have to noticeably outnumber them before it's even close.
I still don't think it's right, but I wouldn't laugh at you and put you in an insane asylum.
Like, if you're 7 wide versus 4 wide, sure, there's a strong argument that you'll actually have a noticeable advantage. But if it's like 5 versus 4, I don't think it's that much of an advantage.
I agree with you, but not enough to insult someone else. Let's put it that way. But we were 5v5 in that match with him going first. And it was just bad because I got to go and flip the portal after he got ported away every time. Anyway, so I ended up taking that 20-7 because Spider Portals is dumb.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Jeremy, round 3.
Round 3. Okay, so round 3 we played the other Springfield guys, Patrick, Brandon, and Ryan. So they lined it up the way we placed our chosen matches. I caught their Thanos player, which was playing even heavier beef than me, and I played Malekith and MODOK in every game. So Ryan brought Thanos, Skull 2, and Spider-Woman at 17. Is that correct? That's 17, right? And
let's say it again. Thanos,
Spider-Woman,
and
Skull 2.
That's 17.
17.
Yeah, that's 17. That's what I said.
Conveniently, you guys played 17, so that makes sense.
So that was 17. So he played 3 activations, and because we played a D shape on top of Research Station, I was like, okay, he's got Thanos. I know what he's going to pull. So I split mine up a little bit and took Toad and Mystique. So on top of my normal MODOK Malekith build. So here's the thing, folks. Let me tell you something. Any model that I charge and I do not kill will automatically get vaporized. It's quite a dilemma.
You mean on the backswing?
On the backswing, or if I don't kill it, because it is Red Skull 2 is waiting. And Red Skull 2 with 8 dice counting blanks is a mean motherfucker. So the entire game, we basically were playing this cat and mouse thing where you would take what was given, which was very, very little, and try and make something happen. We played 6 rounds of this. And the one thing that did happen, which I'll make note of, when I actually went in and I decided this is the turn, I went after Red Skull 2 with MODOK. I did a smash with MODOK into a building. So MODOK was rolling 9 dice on his builder into Red Skull 2. I did Dark Rain into Red Skull 2 because Red Skull 2 isn't allowed to be there when I'm done activating. So I Dark Rain Red Skull 2. Spider-Woman is standing right next to me. The first attack I do goes into Red Skull. I do not kill him with this attack. I'm staring at it going, this is getting bad. So the next attack I do is Whirling Blades. Spider-Woman is standing right next to him. This is a 10 dice attack, standing with 2 models there. I go into Red Skull 2. I daze him, bounce into the Spider-Woman, and do not fucking kill her with 10 dice. She's damaged, I believe.
Are you within Martial Artist?
No, I was outside of Martial Artist.
Okay.
It was...
So it's...
Basically,
Wait,
it was...
you smashed? Is that why it was 10 dice?
Yes.
Okay, so 10 dice physical, no rerolls.
Yeah, well, no, I did have rerolls. I could reroll dice. I had extra. I had power on MODOK.
The potential 3.
Sure.
Okay.
And I had shit to throw.
That's pretty close. Oh yeah, the throwing is what should do it then. I mean, that should put it over the top.
I didn't do it at the end of yeah. And this was, of course, MODOK was damaged at this point. So I had to make it all happen. I think the next move was MODOK got dazed and then he got interrogated. So follow up, fast forward. At the end of the game, it was Thanos. Everybody else was gone. It was Malekith, and it was Toad, I believe. I was on 2 points. Thanos was across the entire board. Thanos moves twice, ports himself with space, moves my 2 models off, wins by 1 because he interrogated and is now standing on Researcher. Fuck.
Yeah, I cheated. I looked at your score and I'm like, you got interrogated? That's not good.
Yeah.
12,
but
11.
What I will say, though, it was an awesome game in that both of us knew what was happening and what needed to happen.
Yeah.
And
you guys were both practiced with your
absolutely.
playstyles.
We were and he always plays big too. He generally brings he's a Dormammu player too.
Yeah, he normally plays Dormammu.
He loves the beef. So we've played now 3 times. He won, I've won, then he won this one, so I've got the next one. So there you go, Ryan. Next one's mine, buddy.
The next one.
The next one's mine. I'm just telling you.
That's how it works.
It was an excellent game. Excellent game. That was a lot of fun to walk away from, actually.
Cool. All right, moving into the final round, round 4. I played Ryan, the guy who you just played.
Mhm.
We had a knockdown drag-out fight because we're both playing all big stuff. We set down both of our Malekiths immediately, and they're just like dead-eyesing each other, right? So we both roll 10 dice. He outrolls me, and then we go get beer. Parker, how'd your game go?
I didn't even play your fucking game.
We both rolled 10 dice. He rolled higher than I did, so we went to get beer.
That's probably
it was
the
a long
equivalent.
fucking day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Fair enough.
Well, keep in mind, I had to tear down the whole event, all 24 tables and clocks and cameras and everything.
Dude.
And so I was like, I'm all for
Yeah.
being done early.
Dude, whatever you wanted to do, you threw a hell of a party. You can go ahead and do what you want in your last round. I'm amazed you actually got to play. It was super cool. So I was in the final round. The Warriors 3, my team, played up against the Outlanders, which is one of the teams from Omaha. And I played against John Paul George. And he was playing his Avengers, and I was playing A-Force, of course. And we ended up playing into something that I and afterwards I thanked Aaron because he was playing 100% the Web Warriors are better in Avengers, form of Avengers. So he had Gwen and Miles and Cap, and the whole idea was to make sure you never, ever, ever got to stand on a D point. He won priority and got Extremis. And so my Avengers had to spread out. I had already got to play on D a couple times with my new D setup, and I was like, here we go. I am not losing to this bullshit. I played against my friend Aaron doing this stuff to me, and he made me feel so embarrassed about it, so I will not be embarrassed again. And so I ended up Ghost Spider, wherever Ghost Spider went, he went to one side of the board. I was like, cool, stay over there, Ghost Spider. Fuck off. You're just going to be over there. I'm never even going to try to deal with your bullshit because he went over there with Cap so that, Ghost Spider was always there so Cap could keep her alive the rest of the game. And he actually went very wide with his squad. He rightly did not pick Hulk to just get eaten by my Hulk. So he went very wide and sent the rest of his army, basically, the rest of his list, onto the opposite side of Cap and Gwen. And we had a knockdown drag-out fight. Both of us just got huge explosive dice on turn 1. He KO'd my Spider-Woman. I KO'd his Spider-Woman. He did like 3 damage to Crystal, and I did a couple damage to Iron Man, I think. It was like we did way, way more damage to each other than we should have, but he didn't do any damage to She-Hulk. Because it was the 4th round, and I was very tired, and so I just forgot to bodyguard with She-Hulk. I should have had an amazing advantage on turn 1, but I really misplayed the early turns of the game, and I was on turn 2. I was like, you cannot lose focus right now. We're playing the final round, like double down, bite down hard, and so for the rest of the game, I was very laser focused. He forgot some stuff, I forgot some stuff. We were both just playing with what we had left. And I ended up winning 19-14, basically just by virtue of stalwart determination. Meant he could not move. Like all he was doing was playing movement stuff, right? He wasn't playing any killing models, so he was just planning on moving all my stuff. Stalwart determination just said for one turn, none of your movement stuff works, and so I scored way more than he wanted to. I got to interrogate once, which gave me a point he didn't see coming, which forced him on the next turn to try to get something risky that didn't pan out. Angela just kept bopping around the table, contesting things she shouldn't and wounding things she shouldn't. And eventually She-Hulk was able to just kind of bop each one on the head. I took out Miles before he got to activate on turn 2, and Spider-Woman on top of. She never got to do much, but she finally got. I took her down on top of 3, so he lost all of his abilities to steal, and I started gobbling up all the extracts. We were playing with scrolls, and so I started picking them all up, and that was really what it was. I knew I could never get a great advantage on the Ds because he had always just activated somebody and pushed me off once the Stalwart was gone. So I needed to get the tokens, and I did before he could close it out. So I ended up winning 19-14. Spencer felt terrible because he played into Convocation, David's Convocation, and lost the game. He got some really bad dice, he said, really early in the game. He lost his Sabertooth on a fluke. And did not see something. I think he said he also didn't see something coming on turn 2, and he just got way behind, and he was very upset with himself. Preston had never played into somebody who knew how to play X-Men, and guess what, Aaron? My teammate Preston played into somebody who knew how to play X-Men on Senators. And so he's like, I never even had my car. I go, you never even had your car. You did not have a chance.
Okay.
So that's how that ended up working out.
Aaron.
So we're heading to round 4. Our team is 1-2. My teammates have had a great time, but have lost every game since the first round. This is Landon and Richie from Joplin, by the way. Landon, however, is playing A-Force and having an absolute blast, just smashing face. Like, his third round game, he just had like one model alive, and he was ecstatic. So we ended up going into Jeremy's team. And so did a little bit of collusion, pulled Jeremy aside, and I said, okay, I've got one person who just wants to play into a tall team and just wreck. Like, none of this chasing people around and points bullshit. I was like, do you know anyone who fits that description?
I'll oblige.
And I said, great. Then don't put yourself down first, because I put Landon down first. And so Jeremy was able to play into Landon, and he can talk about how that game went. I ended up playing into Ryan Schmidt, local, playing Guardians, who has gotten increasingly good with his Guardians over the past couple of months. It really came down to an almost tie game, and then I just was able to eke it out at the end. He actually had to leave early. But yeah, Guardians into Shield, pretty as pretty good of a matchup into Shield as you can get, just because the amount of damage they can pump out. Like, they're doing the exact same thing. One's a little more offensive, one's a little more defensive. And then just, I think he made one mistake all game, but just that plus dice was unable to, or was what enabled me to come away with a 17-12 victory at the end of it.
Was that the game you cheated,
really well
or was
played.
that a different game?
Oh, no, that was a game I cheated.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
So, the cheating was, here's interesting rules interaction. If Rocket does a deadly duo and you eye in the sky out of it with anyone, Rocket gets an extra action after the deadly duo is finished. So he
But he loses the deadly duo attack.
No, well, he loses one of the attacks.
Right, he loses the one that was targeting, but then
Correct.
because he was making attack versus a single target, he gains a new action. Correct.
Yep. So he should have been able to attack instead of 3 people with deadly duo and then two actions. He should have been able to attack 2 people and then had 3 actions to either shoot 3 more times or move once and then shoot twice, etc.
God, that's weird.
So
Yep.
in hindsight, would you have done that?
No.
Okay. 3 Hadron Colliders seem worse than 2.
I don't think you have the power for it, but whatever. Like, if I'm trying to save a guy and I give you a new action to then move and shoot me, did I really save my guy?
Yeah.
No.
He starts with a Hadron, it explodes, and then pulls everybody in, then he plays Deadly Duo, and then he goes up to max power with 2 attacks, and then you do the cancel, and then he's like, alright, cool, 2 more Hadron Colliders. Like, shit!
Yeah. The reason it's counterintuitive is because most attack actions which target more than one person don't generate a new attack if you use Lifesaver or Eye in the Sky or Escort to Safety. However, Deadly Duo is not one attack action targeting multiple
Correct.
people. They're individual attacks. So that's why that kind of I didn't think about it until after the game, and I was like, wait a second, let me research that a little bit more.
It's not like a beam or an AoE, yeah.
Right. Anyway.
So I have a question about that game. What happened when he made a Star-Lord into a Ghost Rider? I heard you talking about that, and I
Yeah.
need to hear the story about that.
Okay, so I ended up killing Ghost Rider at some point, and he dealt with the devil to KO his healthy Star-Lord instead of a healthy Rocket or a healthy Nebula.
Mhm.
Rocket had not yet Deadly Duoed, so that made sense. His Star-Lord was on 1 health, and he figured he either needed to patch up his Star-Lord in order to not just spend the entire game running away somewhere,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or he could just KO him with Ghost Rider to not have to worry about wasting the patch-up card on Star-Lord, and then he still had a full health Nebula running around. I
Mhm.
thought it was an interesting decision. I still think Nebula was the right answer, but it was interesting to kind of peek into his brain and figure out why he wanted to KO his leader. Now, he'd already given out his tokens for the turn, and the
Right.
game was going to go maybe 1 turn past that. So the
Mhm.
only thing he lost from a leadership perspective was potentially his turn 4 winging it.
I think it's exactly the correct decision because, like you said, Star Wars was already pretty compromised, and I think Star-Lord
Mhm.
in most turns is mediocre at best, unless he's like in the right spot with a lot of power. As where Nebula and Rocket can both punch way up out of their weight class, and keeping your winging tokens regardless, I think makes the decision pretty easy. I think it's a great play because I don't respect Star-Lord a lot as a personal contributor.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that.
There you go. Okay, how was your game?
All right. Yeah, Jeremy, how was your A-Force versus Cabal game that we don't know about yet?
So yeah, he wanted a fight. He had Sentinels in a pile. He had She-Hulk in a pile, and apparently he wanted to fight. So, do you have it pulled? I can't seem to pull up how many points that. What was that?
Yeah, I'll pull it up in just a second. You were Malekith Protocol.
Yes.
You played at 19 points.
Yeah, that's what
Mutant
happened.
Extremis and Gamma Wave.
Yeah. So he played She-Hulk and a shitload of 3-pointers. I played Malekith and Malekith and Magneto and stuff.
Your guys' fucking let's not worry about points game was on Senators. What the fuck is the matter with you guys?
So here, this was one of the funniest things, and I should have taken a picture because I thought it was funny as fuck. So the first turn, I go up, I pick up Senators, whatever, and I'm kind of in the middle. I don't think I even do much attacking aside from attacking She-Hulk. And I think he flips Malekith either on top of 1 or maybe at the end of 2, somewhere in there. Anyway, flips Malekith pretty quickly, but I took the entire game focus of I attack no one else until She-Hulk is dead. So She-Hulk died. The game was kind of close for the first 2 turns. She-Hulk dies, and then Senators start plopping off like funguses just blooming. All of a sudden, the table turned from his models into Senator tokens. I collected none of them, and all of his models were executed.
They were like little corpse tokens, like
Yeah.
where all of his people were.
And at one point, there were 6 of them on the ground in a row, right where the center scenario was. So I'm standing on the objectives, standing next to Senator tokens and all of his dazed or dead models. Yeah, if he wanted a bloodbath, he got it. I killed. I believe he might have actually killed Malekith at some point, maybe. But I remember.
Yeah, he did.
He did kill Malekith. Yeah, he was the only one to pull that off, but at a price, a hefty price, because I think
Yeah,
I
I was gonna
tabled
say.
him. At the end of the day, I think I killed every single one of his models.
Well, I walked over right after She-Hulk had died, and I have never seen so many damage tokens on one player's team before, because your team was on life support across the line. Like every one of your guys was just like piles of red tokens. I was
Yep,
like,
but
what happened here?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't see She-Hulk because she was already gone. And I was
Yep.
like, oh, bro, this is going really bad for you. And he's like, no, She-Hulk just died. We're fine.
Yeah, so yeah, I laid my shoulder into She-Hulk because I knew that was the linchpin. The rest of it was nickel and dime damage that didn't matter, and my guys have a backside, right? So it didn't matter that much. Crystal did go apeshit on me. Like, that bitch attacked so many times and gave me so many effects. I mean, I don't know what the average is on damage output, but she probably does 5 during her activation. It's probably 5 damage, which is pretty surprising. But yeah, we fought. I killed a lot of things. He killed a big dragon. Okay, good job.
So you might have tabled him, but he left with a shit-eating grin and had a great time.
I'm glad he
Yeah, it
did.
looked like he had fun.
Yeah, I could not have asked for better teammates to randomly show up and meet for the first time in the morning of the
Yeah.
tournament. So they were awesome.
Yeah, I've played them before, a lot of War Machine games and stuff. They're pretty cool guys. I'm
Yep.
glad they came up. All right, well that wraps up the tournament. I think it's safe to say everyone had a good time. Hopefully we'll be doing these about quarterly. We'll see when we get the next one on the books. The next team tournament I think is Bug Eater, and the next one after that is going to be Show Me Showdown. And then we'll probably look at doing another one after Show Me, because I don't think we want to put up another one of these before Show Me. I want to burn people out on team events.
Yeah, I would even say every 6 months. It's a lot of effort
Yeah.
to get that many people
Yeah,
together.
we'll see. If they start becoming really commonplace at conventions, then we'll probably run less of them because people will get their fill out elsewhere.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'd really like to see this becoming a regular thing. Yep. So we all talked about what we had played. Did you guys only play what you played because of the team event? Is that kind of what you're looking at playing moving forward, or are you planning on switching it up?
I'm definitely switching it up. I like the new MODOK coming out. I do want to play with him. I've been looking at Criminals again, and just for some variety. I'm kind of tired of the alpha striking stuff and failing sometimes when that's just how it works. Just doing something different. I also want to try out Emma. Her shit looks really cool. I've seen people do it to me many times now, and I'm like, that seems neat. I want to try that. So that's where I'm headed.
Cool. Parker, are you going to stick with A-Force?
They haven't let me down yet. They haven't once let me down. If anything, I feel like I'm just growing in my ability to deal with their bane is the D's, but with Spider-Woman in the game now, like just lets you still do pure A-Force and split up just fine. I want to. We've talked about this a lot. They're not really a great let's play them every single day at the local game store affiliation. Because they do their one thing, and if that one thing goes well, then great, you did it. And now that I feel like I'm starting to do the things they don't do, and starting to get down how that works, I don't know how much I'm going to play them around here. I'm really excited to do. I think take a break and do MODOK here for a couple minutes. But I think every single major event, I'll probably just end up pulling them out. I think I'll just parade A-Force around until somebody, like you said, goes, oh, we know what A-Force does around here, and then I'll go, oh, okay, so maybe I've been here before, and they know what A-Force
Yeah.
does.
God forbid you play somebody who has any reps into your list whatsoever.
Yeah. It's almost as if I like doing off-meta things that are strong because I get a passive benefit against all my opponents. And that
Aaron?
So the team tournament was my last Shield game for a while. I'm moving on to, not greener, different pastures. Guardians is most likely my next stop.
Are you going to put your attempt to play all the affiliations on hold while we prep for WTC?
No.
Okay, great.
I will. That's one reason why I chose Guardians. I wanted to give kind of the top, 8 to 10 affiliations to prioritize them now. So if I do need to end up putting my quest on hold, I will at least have recency with the good affiliations, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm going to end up potentially playing Guardians at WTC, I need to play them now so I can get a feel to see how they work.
Yeah.
Not Defenders.
I had fun playing Hydra again. I only picked Hydra because it synergized with my my team a lot. But it was really fun putting them on the table again. I was worried they wouldn't be evolving well with the current state of the meta where it's very like alpha strikey. But they actually did quite well, so I was pretty happy. I played several like very meta lists and they did very good, so I'm pretty happy. I do want to play some new stuff though, because I know we're going to get into the mode soon when we kind of start grinding games with a set list. And so I definitely want to try and play some off-ball stuff. Like I kind of want to give Web Warriors a try. I want to do Sentinels at least for a few games. And I definitely want to try out the new Hulk and MODOK. So I'll be trying out all kinds of new stuff over the next few weeks. Cool.
Before we wrap up or anything, I have one more question just to see. I just want to check something. Ready? It's not that
Mhm.
scary. When you place models on a thing, say it's a building, say it's a car hood, say whatever,
Okay.
does it have to be flat?
No, but that is, I believe, subjective. I don't believe it has to be perfectly flat, if that's your question. Does it have to be like you can put a level down and it's perfectly flat? I think the answer is no. Now, where that line is up to you and your opponent.
Mhm.
Because I've had people like tip Ghost Rider up on the side before because he's so bottom heavy and literally lean him against a tree and have him be on the tree. And his base is like a sideways coin. I'm like, okay, well, that's clearly not legal. And they're like, why? I'm like, well, look at it. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, I was like, this is not intended. And then we argue about it. So I don't think enough people talk about how you can place models on terrain before games, because I see a lot of people just reach over and go, I moved to here, and I'm like, boy, that's that's ambitious.
Hold on.
Like, I don't know if I would do that just all willy-nilly, because if I was a judge that was called to this table, I'd like, are you out of your fucking mind? Like, you can't put this guy here. But at the same time, it's like, as long as both people are cool with it, what's up?
Yeah, you got to talk about it. The one that comes up a lot, almost every single game, is the Weapon X building.
Mhm.
That thing is weird for the rules of this game.
It is really weird. We talked about this a lot at Adepticon. So, for example, it's like a bunker, right? It looks like there's the big blast doors, there's a little flat spot in front, and then there's like the top and a slope on the back. I saw people playing it, and there was actually an objective token laying on the flat ground in the front part. And so they were standing on it, and there was like Shuri on the other side of the table, and she's shooting them, and she's pushing them into the doors so that they can't get pushed off the objective, and that's why he put his models there. I'm like, I don't want to say anything because this is like a tournament game, so I went and got a judge. I just asked him as a side point. He's like, hey, I'm just curious, how would you rule this? Shouldn't they just levitate up and go off the back because it's one piece of terrain? You can't collide with it, so you have to keep moving. And the judge is like, oh crap, that's actually correct. Like, you would have to do it that way. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. But obviously they're okay playing it that way, so I wouldn't interrupt them. But it's just a weird, because intuitively you'd be like, well, obviously you stop when you hit this thing, but well, you're already standing on it. And so terrain gets weird.
You only really run into these situations, and I've noticed it a lot lately when you travel.
Yeah.
Because people at the same store generally have the same kind of like, this is just
Yeah.
the way it is. But man, when you travel, they don't always do the things that you do.
Yeah, you've got the letter of agreements with the other players of how shit works, and then you go to a new place and you don't know those, and then you see people start standing on trees, and you're like, "What's happening?" Like, hold on.
The one I ran into at LVO is they had a couple of cool-looking buildings that had like overhangs on them, like roofs often do. And so some of my opponents were like, the overhang counts, and we had like this mystical like force field that extended down to the ground. The overhang counted as the edge of terrain. Yeah. And then I had another player who was like, no, the edge of the building is the edge of the building. And just this weekend, I had somebody who, almost all of those, the newspaper kiosks, all of them have a little lip on top.
Yeah.
And so my opponent asked, like, can I stand on top of this lip to be within one of the point? And I was like, yeah, like, that's fine. But it meant the base wasn't flat on the thing, though. So there was how many millimeters of gap between the
It's also wider on the top than it is the bottom. And what are you using for the...
Right.
So it can be more complicated than it needs to. And if you are in a new city, probably need to talk about it.
Yeah. And that's my opponent this, in this team tournament, he was like, is this okay? And I was like, yeah, play it. Like, because I'm generally like, I want the terrain to be more, I like it when the terrain is more cinematic rather than a mystical wall that extends from every corner down to the ground. I don't like it when it's like that, but just because it ruins the fun of having terrain on the board.
I think I will actually probably create a document that's kind of like my understanding of terrain. And I will give it to my opponent before we start. Be like, we can change this, but here's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Don't you dare!
I doubt they'll.
I'll throw your document on the ground and stomp on it.
It better be picture based.
I will stand where the fuck I want.
Judge, he's doing whatever the fuck he wants.
I'm actually serious about that though, because there's nothing is worse than when you're on turn 3 of a game. You're like, I'm going to stand here, and the guy's like, no, you're not. You're like, the fuck? Like, my entire turn is based around me being able to do this, and they're telling me I can't. Like, why? I
So-
just wasted an hour of my life playing this game to get to a point that I can no longer operate from, if that kind of makes sense.
So what I've been thinking about doing is asking Nigel to do 2-dimensional Marvel Terrain, and don't freak out yet.
I'm on board.
Solely to put underneath of commonplace weird terrain.
Mm.
So, like, for an example, like the cement mixer, right? There's a lot of spots on that where people stand underneath it all the time.
Yeah,
and
that
you're
cement
technically
mixer.
not supposed to be able
Yeah.
to. So something you do is you place the mouse pad material on the ground, and it's got like the thing printed on top of it. But then you just put the actual physical terrain on top of it, so you have a border around the bottom of it. For example, like the garbage truck. Can you stand under the mirrors? Can you stand under the little metal bar on the back? Can you stand under like the fucking bumper? Like people draw the line in weird places, and it makes it
Yeah.
kind of ambiguous when you're like an important move is happening, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you can't stand there." I'm like,
Yep.
Well, I'm standing there on the other side of the table, and it didn't matter a minute ago. He's like, "Yeah, well, this one matters." I'm like, "Okay, well, like we're just gonna change the way the game works now."
I actually really like that idea because that would then eliminate the situation I was talking about before, which is does the lip matter?
you-
Does that
And if
bumper
you-
matter?
Get to a spot where you're like, "Okay, well, can I stand here?" Like, perfect example. You can't stand underneath terrain, but you can stand above terrain. So you know those swirly like Dormammu portal things?
Yeah.
Can you place Dormammu on one of those? Probably not.
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe, maybe,
Maybe.
depending on how creative you get, maybe. But I can guaranteed slide Black Widow under there, and she's not under a piece of terrain; she's on a piece of terrain. And so it's like, where do you draw the line? And
Here's
so it's
I have two interesting anecdotes. One is from LVO. There was a tilted, elevated platform
Mhm.
that someone wanted to put Jeremy's Malekith on, and
Oh,
Jeremy was
yeah.
like, "Fuck no!
no.
This model is this model is staying on the tabletop."
That game was recorded. You can
Yeah.
actually go.
It's not going
look at
5
it.
inches in the air.
But the
No.
opponent was like, "But this is where I want to put the model." Now
Are you
they were
serious?
gracious enough not to do it. But in a competitive environment, I'd be like, "No, this is where your model fucking goes. I get to place him because he got portal or something."
Mhm.
Nope.
You got like bowed.
How
and
do you
walked up
how do
there.
you deal with that though? Because clearly there's a game reason why they want to put the model up there, but you're like, no, the model I spent 1,800 hours painting is not going to get knocked off because you bumped the fucking table and his wings crash.
That's actually a really
Mhm.
good. That's really good advocacy for that. For the 2D version underneath
The
again.
shadows.
Because you could just
The
say, okay, I'm
shadows.
going to remove this 3-dimensional
Yeah.
piece and let you put Malekith there. That's where he is. Like,
Mhm.
and then you never change the board state. The board state is identical.
Right. So, like,
It's
how
just
many
the thing
times have
still.
people tried to put a model on a car and it like
Yeah.
slides off later and
Oh,
messes
gosh,
up the
all
game
the
stage?
time.
Like, you just pick up the car, put the model on the little outline, and be like, "There's the guy. He's there. When he moves, we'll put the car back. And
Also,
like, when the car gets thrown, we'll pull the thing out from under him."
also here's another thing, which is something that happened in this tournament. You know, when you have so many game tables.
Mhm.
I went to the same game table twice, and the terrain did not look the same both times.
Yeah.
Like, it's just because people pick it up and they throw it, and they put it back where they think it went, and then
Well,
it's a very different game state. Board
worst
different
one was
board state when
actually-
you show up.
the worst one was on table 1. Between table 3 and 4, they just didn't reset the terrain, and no one called a judge. There's literally a pile of terrain
Oh god.
on one side of the table and then a barren wasteland in the middle, and nobody blinked, and they just played on it. And I walk over later and I'm like looking at the game, and I'm watching it when I'm editing, and I'm like, there's 4 size 3 pieces of terrain in a 1-foot square. And I'm just like, and they're like practically touching. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Right.
And it's like nobody said anything because they didn't even blink. It was just a long day. They didn't think about it. I'm like,
Right.
oh my god.
So here's the other question I have. So I played on the my terrain set, which is the forest that has trees with overhang and are basically you cannot stand on top of the trees, which is
Mhm.
like a 3 or 5 inch circle AOE. What if you were to daze someone and place their objective in the middle of a 5-inch AOE range
That they can't stand on.
that no one can stand on? So you can place it
Mhm.
range 2, like if they're touching the forest.
Mhm.
You
It's
in
gone.
range 2, place it in the middle, and no one can ever get to that objective again.
That's correct.
I find that
you do it with 3D, yeah.
so well, yeah. Or there are things in the game that you just can't stand on in certain places.
Mhm.
For
Size 6
instance,
terrain.
the Sanctorum. There are the parts of the Weapon X bunker. You just physically you cannot put a model on certain places because they aren't stable.
So, like, if you're on a large base and I'm on a large base, I move to the top of the sanctum. You can't move to the top of the sanctum. So if I make you drop your objective, it goes underneath me, and you can never have it.
So I'm kind of
'Cause
okay
even
with
if
that
you-
because there's counterplay, like don't let your opponent get there. But in the example I have with the forest here, like no one can ever get there again unless you're towed. So my house rule proposal would be that if there is terrain that is I don't know the right word.
Impassable.
There you
Just
go.
say impassable.
Impassable terrain. An objective may never be placed wholly within impassable terrain. So it could be placed in the terrain so it's touching the outside so that someone could always get to it.
I'm actually pretty sure the Hydra tank is more than range 2 wide. And so you could make a strong argument you can't stand on the Hydra tank because it's not flat.
Yep.
And so you could drop an objective in there. Or it could just be deployed on top of the researcher. And if you can, either you can throw size 4s, you just can't score the researcher ever.
Right.
Yeah,
Thus the
that's the
house
other
rule
thing,
that
is
it
it's-
can
yeah.
never be wholly within.
Mhm.
So you'd
Or
have to
fuck
then
me, the Quinjet.
I was saying
Right.
the Quinjet does that already. Yeah, man, you're fucked.
So anyway, stuff like that I would put into my little like cheat sheet document that says, here's how I play Marvel terrain.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Now, so I think a lot of that is people keep trying to make really cool and interesting looking tables, and that doesn't interact well with the rules. Whenever I try and add new non-official terrain to tables, I try to make sure it's as blocky and simple as possible. So like we add like big shipping containers and stuff that's like very square, so that way you don't run into those problems.
Well, they work great.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's gonna wrap it up for us today. This has been Brandon,
And Parker.
And Jeremy.
And Aaron.
and you've just listened to The Gang Teams Up.
So what are we gonna call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just gonna put down infamous.
And we're back.
That last one for me, the first one is going to sound really funny. When I looked at my audio, it was like
I
really
don't
tiny
usually
shit.
actually listen to the first clap.
Oh, okay.
We just use it to get in sync, and the third clap's really all that matters.
Okay.
So anyway, I started watching Ted Lasso.
Is it as good as everyone says?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
pretty
if it's
strong.
like world changing or anything, but like it's good. It's like a good complement of drama and comedy. It's primarily comedy, but it's got like the serious moments.
hmm
The acting's really good in it.
My brother was
They,
telling me, like, seriously, drop everything you're doing, and you need to be watching it. It's such a good show. It's like, okay,
It is really good.
okay, I'll watch it.
It's not very long. Like it's pretty easy to watch. It's only like
Mhm.
28 episodes total right now with all 3 seasons.
30-minute episodes.
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, there's solid character development in it. It's good.
What did you jack someone's Apple account now?
Are you trying to getting me to admit to crimes online?
Guys, are you hearing this? Test it.
Let's just say
Test
I
it.
watched it on the internet. I'll say
Okay.
that.
The tubes. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's one that I've never been able to get, like, none of my family or anybody. I'm like, guys, you all, like, come on. Nope. Not so
What?
much. Apple. The Apple TV thing.
Mm.
my wife really wanted to watch Ted Lasso, and so we got it free for a week or whatever, and we actually canceled it after a week.
Yeah.
And she watched Ted Lasso, and I watched like 5 or 6 episodes with her. It was fine, but I did a dinosaur marathon with the dinosaur show the documentary they made, and that is amazing. Coming
Is
from
it
like
called The Dinosaur Show? Like, what is this?
nope, God damn it!
Because you're talking about it like my kids would say it. The Dinosaur
What else
Show,
would
you know.
It's the only Apple Plus
What is
dinosaur.
that?
It made fucking headlines because of how they
Walking with
produced it.
Dinosaurs?
No, Walking with Dinosaurs is bullshit next to this. It's Prehistoric Planet is the name of this. Is the name of this
Okay.
series.
Oh yeah, well I think Walking Dinosaurs is 10 times the show Prehistoric Planet is. So
Does it
never
have
seen either of them.
Does it have humans, guns, and dinosaurs together? Because that's how it actually happened.
My favorite part of Prehistoric Planet is when they started using the AR-15s versus the dinosaurs. That was my favorite.
Wait, I
That
think
was
you're
a
thinking of a
carbine.
different Prehistoric Planet. I think that's
Prehistoric. You mean 500 years ago?
if you like nature documentaries, you'll really like it. If you don't like nature documentaries, you will probably not enjoy it because it is just exactly what you imagined from a David Attenborough, style of life or ocean or planet Earth, any of those
Mhm.
style. It is just that, but it is done 65 million years in the past. And the reason why these feel so different than other kind of like Walking with Dinosaurs type is the budget for those documentaries, the old school ones, wasn't big enough to actually keep the CGI stuff going for very long. And so if you've ever watched any of those, you know that it's like 35 seconds to a minute of dinosaurs CGI'd, and then it cuts to a paleontologist talking for 7 minutes, right? Or a diagram of the Earth and Pangea and the way it changed. There's a
Yeah,
whole lot of time,
stills and stuff.
right? It's a lot of just B-roll of people doing interviews and shit and looking at dinosaurs in museums because they can't afford it. And Prehistoric Planet it's just 45 minutes solid of dinosaurs in their environment with a lot of really cool cutting edge science around the dinosaurs. And I thought it was fascinating because they're actually adopting a lot of very new takes on dinosaurs instead of some of the classic old ones. They didn't really pander to audiences at all. I liked it a lot. It was very, very, very good. If you like watching nature documentaries. If you don't like watching nature documentaries, you will not like it because it's not meant to be super exciting. It is just a nature documentary that does a really good job with dinosaurs, and it never once clips a moment to show you like why paleontologists think any of these things were true about dinosaurs. It never stops that, which is really odd because every other nature show about dinosaurs spends most of their time talking about the science behind the decisions we make about dinosaur behavior and appearance. But this one never does that. It just makes the assumption that you are watching a regular nature documentary featuring dinosaurs in the same way you would watch one on birds of paradise or whales or any of these other things that have 45-minute, hour-long specials. So it's amazing. They're already doing a second season, and I think I will buy Apple TV Plus just to see it because it was that good.
I can't get out of my head that it's just Avatar, but with dinosaurs. Is it James Cameron brings you dinosaurs?
If it was like super duper entertaining like that, I would say, yeah, go for it, because it's like if it was made to be a movie like Jurassic Park, I would tell you it is, but it's not.
Mhm.
It's just a nature documentary. It just shows dinosaurs doing stuff dinosaurs did, and it just like they show animals doing what animals do now. And there's a little bit of drama because animals trying to catch other animals is dramatic, or animals trying to mate, or animals dealing with a problem in nature. That kind of stuff happens. But so like one of the segments is just about how these parasaurolophid would go up to this volcanic valley to lay their eggs because the ground was warm, and so they didn't have to sit on them. And then later mosquitoes come and can start to kill the babies if they don't migrate away. And you just that's it. Like, it's just a story about how nature tries to.
That's cool. That is pretty interesting.
Right. So like, if it sounds like that sounds kind of cool to watch, or you want to it's exactly what it sounds like. And they also used a lot of information that we now have about dinosaurs that we didn't have before. Back when you think about dinosaurs and dinosaur videos when you were a kid, it does not look like that now because we have a lot more information about them. It's cool. It is a cool series. Worth it if you have Apple Plus, or you're willing to acquire it somehow, like Brandon is willing to.
You find it.
Yeah,
It's on YouTube, basically.
when it falls off the back of a YouTube.
off the back of a YouTube.
I have YouTube Black. It lets me go in the back door and see all the YouTubes that you're
Yeah.
not supposed to see.
Nice.
I like to pay for the stuff that I really care about. But like when I'm just like bored and watching stuff, and I'm like, I have 8 streaming services. If you're not on one of these, it's kind of your fault. I feel like.
Brandon, I caught up with My Hero,
Mhm.
and I don't know if we can talk about it on this
We
cast.
definitely cannot.
Okay.
Well, I know that Ryan listens to the podcast and he has not watched the show. Although the season is still live, so I'd like to not.
Okay. Well, I will on our next opportunity. I really want to talk to you about the end and what I'm excited about because I am very excited with the show.
Someone told me that was the last episode was the one that I just watched, so I have yet to prove that correct. But we'll see.
The one I saw had at the very end, continuing in season 7. So I think I saw the last episode of season 6.
Well, I didn't watch the credits, so
okay,
that's very possible.
Jeremy, can I share one thing with you, My Hero? And this is not an attempt to.
I won't
get you to
ever watch it, so go ahead.
And I would say I don't know if you'll ever watch it. However, there is a moment in this season that I don't do this very often. I actually teared up in a moment in this season as a father. As a father, I teared up.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone watching the show as a child or as a mom, for example, I don't think anyone who is not a father would be able to watch a scene in this season as it is, because there's a father character in the show that is deeply, deeply flawed, and the way you're introduced to him is very much a kind of a throwaway character, and you're like, okay, well, this is one more,
Sure.
Dads are asshole characters, right? Like it's kind of this very canned thing, but there's this huge payoff in this season, and there's this moment that the dad character has in this season, and I was tearing. Like I don't know if I dropped out, but I was definitely tearing up because of this intense scene.
You had something in your eye.
Yeah, and I have never once had an anime ever do that ever. Never had an emotional response to an anime scene. I've had like fuck yeah scenes, like I've gotten up and cheered for a character or something, but I've never had a that's good stuff. Like it was
Not
good.
even Ninja Scroll?
No, not even Ninja Scroll.
What about Ninja Scroll 2?
Yeah, not even once.
That reminds me of a moment when Ryan from St. Joe took his son to see Up. And he didn't watch any of the trailers or anything. So they get in and they sit down and Up starts. And so it's going through the old man's life. And it's like the montage. And it's like, his wife dies and everything. And then his son turns to him and he's like, Dad, this is sad, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, son. Like, he can't even keep his voice from cracking.
Yeah,
He's like, it is. He's like, he was so embarrassed that he couldn't keep it straight in front of his kid. But he was like, I'm not that sad because it was my true feelings. So
yeah,
I was actually
go ahead.
I was watching WandaVision, right? And for those that have seen that, I also have twins. And
the end scene
and the stuff that happens, I'm seriously like by myself. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I was like so upset. And like, I'm like, who is watching me? Like, this is so fucking stupid. Dude, it crushed me. That whole end thing crushed me.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, if you go online and read it, Wanda has no motivation to become evil at all.
Oh, well, that's cool.
That's what all the people on the internet said, so you're wrong.
I know. That's probably true. More importantly, Love is Blind is excellent this season, for those that are wondering. Excellent trash TV. They are the worst human beings ever that they found for this TV show, and it's delicious television. It really is.
Jeremy, there's a scene in Ted Lasso that you're going to love.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I said something about that show at work, and like 3 people turn their heads and they're like, oh, you won't believe what happens next. I'm like, yeah! I'm like, we're all into this garbage television. That's wonderful.
Oh, boy. Aaron, are you still on Defenders season 19?
I have 1 season and 2 episodes to go.
Ooh.
I will likely be done by the time our next cast hits. So, someone needs to tell me what to watch next.
Battlestar Galactica.
Okay, that's on my list.
I said it first. You got to start there.
Okay, I have Picard, Yellowstone, 1883, Haley Quinn, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Battlestar Galactica.
Harley Quinn, but yeah.
Sure.
Definitely not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is something you put at the end of your list that you watch when you're bored. Yellowstone's really good. Harley Quinn's solid, but it's more of a comedy, so I don't know what you're in the mood for. I'd put it between Yellowstone and Battlestar probably, but I would probably do Battlestar because it's done, and like Yellowstone's still going, so if you like to binge, you can binge more of Yellowstone by the time you're done with Battlestar.
Picard's pretty high up there just because I in the past like 2 years I've watched every single Star Trek episode.
Oh, wow.
Other than
Oh
the
my.
original. I guess I started with.
Okay.
'Cause
It's like, you're insane. Like, oh, okay, you skipped the original. Good.
Well, yeah, I skipped the original, but Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. And granted, these are not all great shows, but
Yeah.
I watched a ton of shit when I was deployed. It was every single episode of Star Trek. So I can't, in good conscience, know that there are. I think the final season of Picard's airing now, or just aired or something. So
Yeah.
I
I watched all of Next Gen a couple years ago. It was pretty solid. The earlier seasons were kind of rough, but it got better.
So, speaking of a show that's happening right now, and I'm starting to get very frustrated and unfortunately losing interest very quickly, Mandalorian. Is anyone keeping up on that?
I have not touched
I
it
haven't watched this week's episode.
So, are you still in?
Yeah, why?
Okay,
Why
so-
would I be out?
After the second episode, I was so bored to death, I stopped paying attention. And I watched the last one with kind of like, I don't know what's going, like, do I care anymore? And I haven't watched the last 2 episodes. So, like, I'm trying to decide whether I'm in or not. It just hasn't hooked me this season. I'm still missing a couple episodes, so it might pick back
I think
up.
I think that comes down to you're either interested in The Mandalorian or you're interested in Grogu. And if you're interested in Grogu, this season's really boring. If you're interested in The Mandalorian, the season is fine. I don't know. I don't read online reviews. I just watch
No,
stuff
I'm
I
just
enjoy.
wondering. I know that you watch it, so
I've had no trouble with
Okay,
the new one.
okay,
There was a big fan service episode, I guess I could call it. There's a lot of guest stars in one episode.
okay.
And so I don't know if you've seen that one.
No.
But it was a little weird, but it was fine. I think you just got to understand like what the point of the show is now.
I guess I just want more Bill Burr, honestly. Like,
Yeah, no, I love Bill Burr in that show too. I like all of his like friends, but like, so I hope it doesn't turn into what Boba Fett was, because Boba Fett was fun, but it was not good, and so I don't know why people enjoyed it. It was just basically fan service the entire thing. So they're just like, well, remember that one fan theory? Well, here's what really happened, and you're like, okay, now what though? Like, what happens though? It's like, nope, just more of that. Like, okay.
I will tell you, after reading Marvel's latest, so Marvel started taking on bounty hunters. That's like one of their latest titles is Marvel's Bounty Hunters. It's their new take on it, and Boba Fett features primarily in it. After reading Marvel's version of Boba Fett, it makes me so much more angry about that show I watched because the Boba Fett in the comic books is exactly the Boba Fett I want, who is just like grizzled, like burnt out asshole who just cares about, money and a little bit about honor, like, but mostly just money. And it's just, he doesn't care a shit about anyone else, and he's willing to murder anybody who gets in his way, and he says 3 words and he doesn't care. Like, I just love everything about that version of the character. It's the one I want, and for some reason the one in The Mandalorian was just so the one in The Mandalorian 2.3, which is what I call the Boba Fett show, was so bad. I just didn't like it at all. Like you said, fan service, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, the whole point of the show was, like, getting to see Boba Fett on a Rancor. That was the point of the show.
Right.
Nothing mattered. It was just, how many fucking screen grabs can we create? So, yeah, I thought that was kind of boring. The Mandalorian has been fine. I don't know if I'd call this their best season, but honestly, a lot of the first season was pretty fucking boring. Like,
yeah,
it's a Western.
sure.
It's a Western.
Yeah.
Westerns are not exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most of Unforgiven is a boring-ass movie, but it's amazing.
I'm very interested in the Bo-Katan stuff, and so
Okay.
I'm actually very happy with where it's been going.
Well, I was just wondering where it was headed because like I say, I lost interest after the I guess it's the Doctor episode is what they've been calling it, what people have kind of called it, and it didn't really have Mandalorians in it. I think it was like episode 2 maybe.
Oh yeah.
I was
Okay, yeah. Well, that's clearly leading to something, right?
Sure.
Like they did that for Andor too. Like you're like, why are we following this idiot around? And then it obviously ends up mattering a lot.
yeah.
It's like you got to set stuff up.
Look,
Uh,
my lifestyle, it needs to be exciting. There has to be people in love, documentary
I
style.
watch shows in reverse order, and when it gets boring, I turn it off. Like
Correct.
it's like infinite spoilers. Watch it backwards.
I read the
And then
last chapter
episode
first.
the first episode that's not a 10, I turn it off. I don't watch anymore.
Exactly. I don't have time for that.
Parker, are you willing to do one more leap of faith for me
What's that?
when it comes to media?
Okay.
And fucking watch Battlestar Galactica, for the love of God.
Well, next on the list is Jeremy's show. But yeah, I can do Battlestar Galactica.
That's an easy watch. You'll be done in a second. Like
Yeah.
my show's an easy watch.
It will consume... No, wait, which show are you guys talking about?
What's the name of it? It's not in
You
front
didn't.
of me right
I don't
now.
know if you told me the name.
Love
actually.
is Blind.
No,
Obviously that, but the one I'm talking about is it's called Unstable with Rob Lowe and his son.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. I saw it up on some
Yep.
streaming service, but
Yeah, I just put it on in the background one day, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is actually amazing! It's really good."
there's actually a lot of newer shows that look pretty good.
So I can't watch Battlestar Galactica because it's on Peacock. That's what I don't have.
Son of a bitch.
I know.
Unsubscribe from one of the other ones that you do have.
That's not gonna happen.
Why?
I'll just watch something else that's on one of those.
But
He's
you-
doing everything he can not to watch the show you want him to watch.
I noticed that.
Lots of people actually do that. Against
Just start a free trial and then start watching it.
Oh my god. It's funny because you've been pimping it so hard, and like all three of us are like, we have different excuses of why we can't watch it.
They're not excuses. They're just lame answers. Like there's no logistics behind any of this.
We're all afraid to just tell you we don't want to.
Oh, I want to. I just have no desire to get a new service right now.
Not even to keep a friend.
Oh, I didn't realize that was the line in the sand being drawn.
You have disappointed the Brandon.
Aaron's gonna have to play Sentinels at WTC. That's how
Oh
it's gonna
Jesus.
Make
Oh,
it sound like it's a
Lord.
bad thing.
go. I mean, according to Jeremy, it is.
Whatever. I've realized recently I don't know how to play at all.
Yeah, you're almost off the team.
Oh,
Wait, I
man.
thought we had decided. That.
Wait, you guys didn't tell them? Shit.
But seriously, I can't recommend Battlestar Galactica enough.
We all know.
Ooh, I did think of another show that you should watch. I don't think I've told you this one though. This one is this is like it's not a guilty pleasure, but I just every time I watch it, I'm like, this show was so good, and I actually think you would like it a lot because you like Persons of Interest. Burn Notice.
I've heard great things about that.
I only watched about the first 4 episodes, and I was like, I can't watch this shit.
But you watch Persons of Interest for 5 seasons?
So, yes.
It's just better.
What?
It's
It
just
was-
better than Persons of Interest.
Oh my god. No.
It's a vaguely similar plot.
It was super cheesy.
It is cheesy. That's the point.
Okay. So there's the
I'm
level.
gonna send you some clips of Person of Interest. You're like, this isn't cheesy, by the way.
So we found the level of humor I don't appreciate. Well, then you should watch iZombie.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
It is actually not bad. And by not bad, I mean pretty fucking good.
Have you seen the Santa Carlita Diet?
Yes.
Was it similar to that?
So iZombie is a CW show.
Oh god.
Yeah. It is probably
I
the
know.
best CW show I have ever heard about / seen. Probably only the second or third one I've ever seen.
I don't know if I can watch another CW show. It's already stolen so much of my soul that like there's very little left.
I'm aware. No, everything they did in iZombie was relatively interesting, given what I already told you about it. Like it is not going to win awards, but it was actually really good. I would rather watch that than Santa Clarita.
Okay. All right. When I'm done watching stuff, I will consider watching that. And if I turn it on and it's fucking terrible, then we just know we have differing opinions.
Well, we already know our opinions are a little different, but no, it actually has my recommendation. I actually have to go back and watch an episode or two before I can say that out loud again. But yeah, it was good.
All right. Well, we should probably get to it because we got a lot of games to talk about.
Mercy. Nice.
So we were talking about the dinosaur stuff earlier, and that got me thinking. I was watching this documentary about nature a long ass time ago, and they were talking about like the plants that existed in older times.
Mhm.
Do you guys know what the scariest tree that ever existed was?
No.
Bamboo. I do it for you, Jeremy. It's all for you.
Yeah, no, skip it. I don't need it.
Do not want.
I'm all set. I'm all set.
I got plenty of bamboo. I'm good.
I got a lot.
Brandon, did you know that before Mount Rushmore got carved, its beauty was unprecedented? Unprecedented.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So you're both gonna do it now?
No, I
Just
I saw
both
that
you
one. I was like,
motherfuckers.
I gotta tell Brandon that on cast.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Keep them coming. You know what? I'm gonna do something I've never done before. Parker, I'm taking off an episode.
Hey.
Every good dad joke you bring me on cast, I'm going to give you an episode back.
Okay. Now I got something to live for. Okay.
Oh, man, this is just not good.
Jeremy's like, fuck my life. This is going to be the worst.
I've had it. I won't need to be kicked off the team. I'm off the team. The dad jokes did it.
Is that our new team name? Dad Jokes R Us?
I don't know. I feel like you know or you know. It's like the two ways. All right. Well, we got plenty recorded. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here?
No,
Not
I actually,
sure.
I'm going to go bed if I'm going to have enough juice to be there tomorrow. I'm going to try to be there tomorrow.
We need to decide what we're doing on the 27th of May.
Hold on, wait. Okay, what's that?
There are 2 opportunities to play Marvel, one in Independence and one in Iowa. One is an LVOIS qualifier and one is not.
Is the Iowa one an LVOIS?
Yes.
Wait, what? May 27th. In Independence?
Yeah, it's part
What
of
fucking
a
event is
small
that?
con. Yeah.
Is it like Meeple something?
No. It's, hold on. Midwest Conquest.
Mm. Yeah, that doesn't seem like much of a decision, honestly.
I'm pretty much
I don't know.
out
I'm-
for all weekend things for a bit. My kids have baseball starts.
Well, this is in May.
Yeah.
It's like, this is 6 weeks away.
Yep. Baseball is going
Oh,
to go
okay.
until about July.
Gross.
Yep.
I'll probably at some point, either tomorrow or over the weekend, I'm going to try and update our event tab in the Discord to where it's got all the LVOIS stuff on it again for anything nearby. Aaron, if you want to compile that list, feel free.
Okay. I'll shoot it to you in a DM or something.
You-
There's really, that's
Well,
it. That the Iowa
I'm just gonna
one's the
I'm
only
just
one
gonna give
aware
you
of.
permission to the channel so you can just
Oh,
do it yourself.
shit. Okay.
And
So-
you can format however you want.
When you said there's no decision, that still doesn't tell me what your non-decision is.
It's Iowa.
Okay.
I have never been to Midwest Conquest, nor do I plan on going to Midwest Conquest. If there was nothing else going on, you're like, Brandon, will you come with me to Midwest Conquest to play Marvel? And I wasn't busy, the answer would probably be yes.
Sure. So,
But
personally, I think it'd be better. I don't want to have to play one of you in Iowa, let's put it that way.
so
So,
well, you can run the cameras then.
or I could go play the Midwest Conquest and get Marvel in while you and Parker are cleaning house in Iowa.
Whoa.
Potentially.
Whoa. Are you just implying that we're gonna beat the Iowa guys? because I'm down for that kind of lowbrow shit.
No.
'Cause if
I
you
did
are.
not. I did not imply that. I fucking stated it.
Fucking flat out said it. Jeremy, did you listen to the most recent Musecast?
Most of it. I
Okay.
think.
I was told to tell you because they apparently call you out because for getting them sick.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Mhm. All right. Well, what I really want to do tomorrow is work on events for local stuff. And I have some ideas in the pipe that I would like to run by you guys and get critique ideas. But they're both things that I want to happen. So
It'll be kind of late tomorrow for me. I have some things going on, and I'll probably be up there maybe 8:30ish, 9.
whoa, that's
For-
bordering on Parker time.
I know that's pretty
Wow.
late. So I don't know
3 or 4 more hours later, and you'd be almost to Parker time.
if he were to even show.
Yeah,
I'm
I
showing
was
this time. You guys are now COVID free, so I'm coming.
COVID free.
So
I don't charge anything to
so-
give people COVID.
Tyler was asking why Parker wasn't there last week, and I was like, "Oh, well, you got to understand Parker speak. If Parker's like, I'm going to try and be there as early as possible, he's not coming. If he's like, I will be there no later than 8, he'll be there at 10:30. And if Parker's like, I guarantee I will be there at normal times, maybe 9:30. If Parker says, I just can't make it this week, he'll show up at 5:30 with his kids, stay for 3 hours, and say, oh, I wish I could have played a game, then leave. That's Parker speak for how he
Oh
plays games.
my god.
I feel like
Yeah.
I
If
feel like
Parker
that's
calls you in advance and says, I'm going to be there at 9, have me a game set up, that means he's going to cancel at 11.
what we. I feel like what I need is to create just a little like sheet that has
Yeah.
that on it, and so that way
Mm-hmm.
every time I come to a game store, I can just hand my opponent so they know how I do terrain and how
Yeah.
I set up games.
He's going to have the timing restrictions.
Yeah.
Also, if I make an announcement that your clocks need to be started in the next 5 minutes, to Parker that means go take a shit in 5 minutes and then get lunch. And then start your clock wherever the fuck you feel like about an hour later.
I knew this was gonna come up. I did not know that prerogative was given in the tiny room I was in. I actually didn't know that. So, but
What?
we did get started later. At the team tournament,
Oh my
our last game got started late, and I actually didn't know it was getting.
I checked my round timer. The round timer is chess clocks plus 5 minutes, which should never really get broken, except for very rare times where you've had like a long judge call or something that paused your time, which I should know about as the judge usually.
Hey, I had like
Um,
8 calls. I had to pause my. I
Yeah,
had to
so
pause my
when the
games.
round timer goes off, and then I walk over to Parker's table, and he's got 15 minutes of time left, and his opponent has 12 minutes of time left. I'm like, what the fuck did you guys do? And he's like, we got started on time. I'm like, that's literally mathematically impossible. He's
So
like, whatever.
we did not get started on time. That's what happened.
Yeah, I didn't know you got the chess clocks that weren't at 3/4 speed. These are really cool. Where did you get them?
No, we
Oh wait,
we
I
had
supplied the clocks.
we had the chess clocks were running the whole time. We just didn't. We just had them. It
We
was
just
100%
reset
we
them
didn't
after
start
every
on
2 rounds. I thought they were per turn. Are they not per turn? Anyway, hopefully you guys had fun. That's gonna wrap it up for us today. Goodbye.
Lates,
Bye.
Lates. What the fuck
Later.
is a late?
lates.
Is this the jives? Are you speaking the jives? I don't
Uh,
understand.
This is life's a garden. Dig it.
Okay, that's acceptable. Goodbye.